That's how you make good things and really innovate. You can't do it by yourself, and you can't do it with people who think just like you. You have to find people with different perspectives on life. That's why diverse teams as a whole just work better, because everyone's bringing something different and unique and like a fresh perspective to the table. So you have these nursing students who really know, like, they see people struggling every day, and they know what they're struggling with and why this is making their life more difficult. And then they know what kind of things help to fix that. And then engineers know how to solve problems. So engineers know how to say, it's called like the 5 whys of efficient problem solving. And you have a problem and you're like, why is it like this? Then why is it like this? Then why is it like this? And it's kind of just like being annoying about it until you get to the root cause of the problem.
Welcome to the Feria Techcast. We'll bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today's guest embodies how engineering can transform lives. Meet Thea Phillips, a mechanical engineer and founder of ATS Innovation. While studying at Tennessee Tech, Thea invented Metaflex gloves, the first compression gloves designed to strengthen the hands and combat arthritis, inspired by her grandmother's struggles. From a university competition to FDA approval and scaling a business, her journey is a masterclass in turning empathy into engineering solutions. So, Miss Thea, it's nice to have you on the show.
I'm happy to be here, Ezekiel.
So, meanwhile, before we dive in, I'd like to congratulate myself for having you as the first female guest on my podcast. So, yeah, congratulations to us on the Feriatic Cast podcast. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the first of many, I'm sure. You're gonna
yeah,
keep having really inspirational women
so
here.
I guess you can see why I'm also very excited to have you here, Miss Thea.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
excited to
so
be here.
yeah, so let's dive into the interview. So firstly, you studied mechanical engineering at Tennessee Technological University. Yeah. So, what made you take that decision to study mechanical engineering in the first place?
Well, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was in high school. I did a lot of theater and I really liked that, and I thought maybe I'm gonna move to LA. But by the time I was a junior, it didn't feel like the right thing for me to do. Honestly, I just didn't feel safe doing something like that. So engineering was my backup plan. And I chose mechanical because I have always really found interest in physics, math, and problem solving. And mechanical engineering, well, engineering as a whole looks at those things, but mechanical engineering specifically. And I looked at the things you can do with mechanical engineering. So I just went on Tennessee Tech's website and looked through all of the engineering disciplines, and then I'd Google them, and I'm like, what does a mechanical engineer do? And mechanical
Yeah,
engineers build robots and rocket ships and
yeah,
things that move. And that just sounded like what a fun life that would be, to learn the skills to be able to do that kind of thing. So yeah, it just it clicked. I did my research like an engineer does, and then picked the one that I found most interesting. And it's been really cool journey, and I'm glad that that's the one I chose. Especially because chemistry is really difficult. I didn't like those classes.
All right, that's an inspiring story, Tia. So at Tennessee Tech, you were part of a club, Innovation in Healthcare, Innovation in Healthcare, a collaboration between engineering and nursing students. So how was the experience for you working across disciplines?
It was awesome. That's how you make good things and really innovate. You can't do it by yourself, and you can't do it with people who think just like you. You have to find people with different perspectives on life. That's why diverse teams as a whole just work better because everyone's bringing something different and unique and like a fresh perspective to the table. So you have these nursing students who really know, like, they see people struggling every day and they know what they're struggling with and why this is making their life more difficult. And then they know what kind of things help to fix that. And then engineers know how to solve problems. So engineers know how to say, this, it's called like the 5 whys of efficient problem solving. And you have a problem and you're like, why is it like this? Then why is it like this? Then why is it like this? And it's kind of just like being annoying about it until you get to the root cause of the problem. And when we were developing Metaflex, we found the root cause of the problem was people weren't doing their exercises because it's time consuming and it's burdensome. So we found that people can't afford to, a lot of people have arthritis, number one. Number two, people can't afford to go to the doctor because you have to take time out of your day, money out of your pocket for the co-pays, the initial pays, and then you have to take time off work, you have to travel. And when they do go to the doctor, they get told compression and grip strengthening. Compression's easy, you wear a glove like Metaflex, but grip strengthening is time consuming and repetitive, and people aren't doing their exercises because it's time consuming and repetitive. So you ask why a million times, and then you get to it's time consuming and it's burdensome to do these exercises to prolong the life of the hand. So with that information, I made a wearable grip strengthener that has compression, so it's good for pain, but it has the strengthening, so it's good for improving mobility. And the strengthening, the resistance bands also act as stretching, a way to stretch the fingers that's passive. So you wear the glove, you go about your day or night, and you're getting these benefits without having the burden of remembering to do your exercises and doing this and doing that. The only thing you have to remember to do is put the gloves on. So, diverse teams work better. If you're making something, I would recommend that you reach out to people that think very differently than you and say, what do you think about this?
All right, that's great. So you talked about the 5 whys, yeah. It
Yeah.
seems you applied that a whole lot in your building of Metaflex globes. So where did you first hear about the 5 whys and how you can use them to solve problems?
Oh, man. I don't know if it was in school or if it was in my first co-op. So when I was a sophomore, after my sophomore year, when I was a sophomore, I started applying to jobs because I knew that if I graduated with an ME degree, I would be the same as the other people that are graduating with an ME degree. So I needed to find a way to differentiate myself so that when I am out of school, I can get the kind of job that I want to get. So I started applying, I started going to job fairs and applying to jobs, and I was able to get a job at United Technologies Aerospace Systems in Tullahoma, Tennessee, which is really close to where I grew up. Tiny little town, but we made landing gear for airplanes. And I took a semester off school, and I really recommend engineering students doing something like this, like take a little time off and work, because that led me to getting this really nice job that I had, um, this really nice internship that I had right before I graduated, and I knocked it out of the park. And then I got a job offer, and I made a lot of money. So always get work experience while you're in school because everyone's going to have the degree, but not everyone's going to have that work experience. So I took a semester off and I worked for 6 months at UTC Aerospace Systems. And I started learning about lean manufacturing and Kaizen. And this is just making your processes more efficient, cutting waste, whether that's money or movement or time, like trying to consolidate everything and make your manufacturing process as lean as it can be so you don't have waste and you're really, really efficient. Um, And that was a methodology developed by, a Japanese man, and I can't remember his name now, but just look up the 5 whys and you'll find him. He was working for some motor company, I think. But that's when I started learning the 5 whys because that's how you cut down on waste in the process, and it's also how you make it's just how you simplify things, and when you're inventing something, it needs to be as simple as possible, especially if someone's using it. If it's complicated, they're gonna get annoyed, or it's not gonna work, or it has more points of failure. You learn in engineering school, like, if a system has 12 nodes, it's more likely to fail than if it has 4 nodes type thing. Um, so it's simplifying it, um, and yeah, that's how you make a good invention too, is the same way that you make a good process.
Interesting concept. So I asked because a lot of people may not know about that 5Y concept. And when you talked about it, it sounded like a very, very, very technical, I mean, like practical approach to problem solving that actually addresses the root cause of the problem. So I thought of maybe you share more light on it. Yeah. So thank you for that, Miss Thea. So I'd like to ask, um, how did engineering school prepare you for business?
Um, there's a lot that it didn't prepare me for. Um, but how it did prepare me is I'm a really good problem solver. Like I don't just get discouraged by difficult problems when they take a long time to figure out. Because with going through engineering, you spend several pages of papers just to solve one problem. Um, and so it gave me a little bit of resilience and a lot of confidence too, because engineering degree is a degree in problem solving, I like to say, and one of my mentors has told me, but it didn't prepare me for marketing and finance. Like, I'm really good with numbers. But I'm good with solving problems, and I see patterns in numbers, and that's really good. But like, there's I I wish I had taken some like statistics classes or some more business classes, maybe a marketing class. I learned sales. Sales has been the most difficult part for me, because as an engineer, you can work by yourself. Like, I didn't do study groups. I did my homework myself. I was very antisocial. And you can do that in engineering school. So you get used to just like figuring it out yourself. And when you're building a business, you have to build it collaboratively, you have to build relationships, and you have to build relationships with your customer. And that's something that I wasn't really used to. And I didn't like calling people on the phone and talking to them. Like, it made me nervous. But I got over it. Well, I'm getting over it, I'm better now, but it's still, like, not my favorite thing in the world. So, there's a lot of, the personality of engineers that you'll find that, you have to you have to overcome some of that, like, where you're nervous in social situations. But I have noticed that a lot of successful founders are engineers. And I think it has to do with the resilience and the ability to look at a tough problem and feel confident that you can solve it. Because half of the battle is mental and saying, I am capable of doing this, and then taking the necessary steps to get there, because it can feel very overwhelming. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed when they build a business because so much is happening, and it's mostly all new things, and you're constantly solving new problems. And if you're not used to solving problems, if you're not confident, you can probably get really overwhelmed and feel down on yourself. But engineers, I mean, we're just trained to solve difficult problems. And if you can't figure it out, then you have to look at it a different way. So I think engineering school prepares you to be a successful business owner.
Interesting. So, Ms. Tia, how did working with nursing students at Innovation and Healthcare shape your approach to Metaflex?
It helped me learn all of the medical stuff of it, like um why compression matters. Um how, and a lot of it like makes sense, like mechanically, like grip strengthening, you're building the muscles and that relieves pressure from the joints. Like it works like any other system. But like compression increases oxygenation to the tissue by getting blood circulating, and it reduces swelling and stiffness, and improves pain. And the input receptors for pressure and pain are the same. So when you're applying pressure, you're really not feeling the pain, and then it slowly works to heal over time. It's been really interesting, and like I said earlier, it's diverse perspectives. They've worked with patients. They know what it's like to work with people, and they knew what kind of doctors we should start talking to. And I found that occupational therapists are the people that really like Metaflex. And we kind of discovered that earlier on, because these people had that kind of experience. Um, yeah, so it's important to build diverse teams because everybody brings a different perspective and different opinions, and they look at things different ways, um, to the table. You can't build in a silo, so you have to have people around you. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, tell us more about the functionality and specifications of your product, Metaflex. If you have a physical model, you can show us how it works.
This is the
Wow.
Metaflex glove.
Okay.
All right. So little wrist strap. Everything's with Velcro, so it's really easy to put on and off. So you just slip your hand into this super cool looking glove. This is a really gentle compression. So when I was researching what kind of compression people like, why they like it, I found that people with arthritis who I was making this for prefer a gentle compression because too tight, you can start to get tingly. They just need like a little bit. So gentle compression, and then it's got these stretchy resistance bands, which are sewn in at the fingers, and they run through these channels, and they're adjustable with Velcro. So this gently works to open the hand. The idea is as you go about your day, you're working against these bands and strengthening your grip. Also, like I said earlier, probably half of my users are sleeping in the glove to keep their hand extended at night. And when I was first developing this, I was interviewing my grandmother who had really bad arthritis, really progressed arthritis. And her hand would curl up into a ball at night, and it would be stiff and painful, and she'd have to pry her hand open. So her solution was holding onto a tennis ball and putting a sock over top so that her hand wouldn't be closed when she woke up. And that was really sad, to hear that my grandmother was struggling like that. But that's another way that people are using the glove because compression helps prevent that stiffness. You wake up and your hands in motion and ready to go, and it's also keeping your fingers extended. And each band is individually adjustable, so you can place them wherever you want them to be, totally customizable to your hand because arthritis affects every hand differently. And another part of our users are using them like after they're typing all day just to stretch the fingers, just like a nice little thing. I know if I'm typing all day, then my joint right here starts hurting and it'll hurt for like days. One time I didn't wear my gloves just to like test it out and it hurt for like 3 days. Um, but if I go home and I put my gloves on, sometimes I wear them all night. It really depends on like how hard I've been working my hands, or sometimes I wear them for just like 30 minutes or 10 minutes. Then it feels better, and it's the next day it feels better too. So people are using them in all sorts of ways. They also have grippy palms, so you can go about your day, and touchscreen pads. And that's for, so you can use your phone or your devices. And I put 3 of them so I can use like my trackpad on my computer. but yeah, people are using it for arthritis, for carpal tunnel, for Dupuytren's, Parkinson's, scleroderma, stroke rehab. I mean, the list is going on and on.
Wow,
And yeah, it's been really, really cool. Really cool.
that's a really innovative product. I mean, like, see the list of problems it solves. So many. Ah, wow. That's a really great product, Mr. So, you talked about how you interviewed your grandma before you went on to develop Metaflex. So, I mean, your grandma's arthritis sparked your invention of the Metaflex. What specific moment made you realize that I actually need to develop this product? I need to build this product.
I think it was when she told me about her hands at night. I knew she had bad arthritis. I was paying attention to her once we made Metaflex, and once I realized my grandma has bad arthritis, like this could help her. I started paying attention to her, and I noticed that she wasn't doing the things that she used to love doing. Like she was always crafting, she was always knitting, she was always in her garden. Very active, strong Southern woman, and she wasn't doing those things anymore. And I asked her about it, and she said it's because her hands hurt. So that paired with the nighttime, like I watched her quality of life go down. Um, and it happens like right when I made Metaflex. I started noticing like she's not doing what she used to do. She's in pain. She's asking people to open pill bottles for her. And I realized how much this could have changed her life near the end. This would have improved her mobility, given her back her independence, made her feel confident and happy, and just let her enjoy her life more. So when I realized it would have a really big impact on her, I had to do it. And it was when I made it, but also I made it in 2018. I formed the company. I started getting patents. I started winning awards in 2018, but I also graduated 2018. And like I told you earlier, I had this sweet job offer. And I had worked as an intern over the summer for this company. And then at the end of the summer, they offered me a job with so much money, and I didn't have any money. And so I didn't feel like I could, right out of college with like no savings, start a company. And so I took this job, and I had a really great time, and I learned a lot, and I saved up all my money. And in 3 years, I quit. And I quit because in 3 years, I was ready for like my next role, whether that was in this company or a new company, or my own company. And my grandmother was getting worse. She was starting like at 2020 is when like it really started escalating and snowballing. And so at the end of 2021 is when I quit my job, and I felt guilty. I felt like I had this responsibility and I had this product and it would change people's lives, and I wasn't doing anything with it because I was having fun being an engineer for the government, making a lot of money, and just like da 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 going to brunch every Saturday, and just like being selfish. And so I was like, it's time for me to either, change jobs within the company, move to a different company, or bet on myself. And I finally decided to bet on myself. And I brought Metaflex to market, and it took me a while. It's a long process. I learned a lot. I quit my job. I had a manufacturer. They were not the right manufacturer, because of the FDA regulations and all of that. And I saved as much as I could, but I didn't have a ton. So I was doing a lot of it myself instead of hiring people. And it was I finally got it to market in 2023. So it took me like 2 years, well, a year and a half, because I quit at the end of 21 and I launched it at the beginning of 23. So a year and a half before I got it to market. And now it's helping so many people. My grandma passed in 22, so she wasn't even able to try on the gloves that were in her size. I was still getting. She passed in February of 22, but my grandfather really likes them, and he uses them when he's woodworking and says that she would be proud. So it felt like a responsibility, and I kind of put it on the back burner for a minute. Um, and then I felt guilty for putting it on the back burner, and I jumped right back into it. So I wish I would have done it earlier, but I also had a really good time working at Y12.
Your grandma would definitely be proud of you. I mean, like the problem she was facing, you've now solved it, and people who face that same problem now have a solution to not to make them feel better. So yeah, she definitely will be proud of you. So
Thank you.
Taya, Metaflex started as a university pitch competition idea, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So has the initial design been changed since your first pitch?
Yes. Um, I launched with pretty much that same design. I mean, we did some tweaks. We when we were pitching, we sewed up something really quick that's just proof of concept. First, you do a proof of concept, and then you start to tweak it and make it perfect. So we took a year and a half, something like that, tweaking it, making it perfect, lining up the bands with the tendons, ensuring natural hand movements, really studying the anatomy of the hand and making sure Metaflex matches the anatomy of the hand. So it's not working against you in any way that's unnatural or uncomfortable. So that was the first main thing to overcome. Then it was the sizing, trying to make sure that we have standardized sizing. And we do, and they actually run a little big, so we're about to have to size everything down. But the sizing guide on the website is accurate, so like if you print that off, it'll tell you what the right size is. Um, but since we've been on the market, I have had user feedback, and some of it I anticipated. I thought, oh, people might like it like this, and they do. So we've made changes like to the tabs. We made changes just to make them easier to grab on. The tabs on the wrist as well. We're adding more touchscreen pads because people want them on every finger. And soon, in just like 2 months, we're launching a new version of Metaflex. And I will tell you about it right now. It's our sport version. It's called the Metaflex Pro. This is your exclusive, Ezekiel. I haven't told another podcast because
Wow, wow, wow.
we're just putting it together. This is your exclusive.
Yeah, I gotta celebrate this.
The Metaflex Pro is releasing in October. So I won't tell you more on it, but there's a new version coming out, and it's going to
Wow.
be very, very exciting. So make sure you clip that and put like secret release coming out.
Yeah, I'd like to have you back here on October to, I mean, get a overview of the latest Metaflex we have.
We can
So,
do that. We can do that.
sure,
And
I look forward to it.
there's a lot more versions next year too. So I'm finally at the point where I've grown the company, I've built it, where I'm putting the right people in the right places. I've got employees, and now I can focus on all of these other innovations that have been in my notebook for 8 years. Like, seriously. When I made the first Metaflex, I was like, oh, it could also be like this, and like this, and like this, and like this. And now I get to make all of those and bring them to life because we've proven that people like Metaflex. And now I can move on to the rest of the product line, which is so exciting. It's my favorite thing is getting to invent and innovate and make new things.
That's really great. So I'm really excited to see, I mean, the future versions of Metaflex. Yeah. So, Tia, while interviewing your grandmother, how did you balance the emotional motivation with technical problem solving? So, did your engineering degree help in any way?
Absolutely. And it goes hand in hand because at that time I had already had I had I'd spent 2 years at United Technologies Aerospace Systems. I started with a 6 month co-op, and then as soon as that ended, they asked me to work remotely. So through college until 2018, I worked remotely. And then in the summer, I'd go in person. And it was constantly just problem solving. Engineering is a degree in problem solving. So I had 2 years of fixing things under my belt. And as she was telling me what problems she was having, what she had tried before, what she liked, what she didn't like, the wheels were turning. And the compassion and the technical problem solving go hand in hand. Um, because like I really cared about getting it right. Metaflex was made with a lot of love. And I think you can tell because it's made well. I'll, not to toot my own horn, but it was made really well and really intentionally. And I think she gave me the inspiration not to just make a product, not to make a gadget. Like a lot of these healthcare companies, they have their own, yeah, they have their own problems. And their problem is that they just make things to make money. They're just trying to make this next thing so that they can bring in more revenue next year. And I was making something to help somebody and to help somebody that I love. And I think that's what gives Metaflex its advantage.
Yeah, yeah, there definitely was empathy uh, in the design process of Metaflex. Yeah, it's quite obvious. Yeah. So, could you walk us through one specific technical challenge you faced while working on Metaflex, and how did you overcome it?
Technical challenge. I wanted it to be an all soft material. But that came pretty easily. I mean, Velcro just immediately popped into my head and made sense. Um, I one challenge that I haven't overcome yet, I won't tell you because I'm still gonna figure it out.
Sure,
I'm gonna figure it out and then I'll tell you about it.
sure.
Um, yeah, it's technically Metaflex is very simple. And I think the simplicity is what makes it a good product. And so that's what I would encourage any young innovator to focus on if you're encountering a technical challenge is how do I make this more simple? Like, is this overcomplicated? Um, and whenever I get to a point where I can't solve a problem, my solution is to go for a walk. I just go and I walk around and it takes your brain, it lets your brain process that information because when you are doing the same task over and over, that part of your brain that's solving that problem or like looking at the screen or you're doing the same thing over and over, your brain is and I don't know neuroscience, okay? I listened to a neuroscientist describe it, and I don't have all of the words, but you have a lot of waste that's built up in that part of the brain because it's things are eating and things are processing and there's things that are happening in your brain. And you have to get away from that and do something completely different. Like if you're looking at a screen, you need to do something not looking at a screen. If you're like writing and like trying to solve and typing, you need to do something that's not doing that so that your brain can rest and process and get rid of that waste and clean up space so that you can solve that problem. So if you're overwhelmed by something, do something totally different. And it may take you a little while or it may come fast to you. It may take days. You may like have the solution when you're asleep. And that has happened to me a lot. And that's why I have a notebook by my bed because I wake up and I'm like, oh, this is how we're going to do it exactly. Like you get inspired in the middle of the night because your brain's able to process these problems that you had days ago or that day. So yeah, technical challenges, do something different and you'll solve it in the meantime.
Hmm, that's a really interesting approach. So, you tell us how did you navigate FDA approval for your product?
It took me months. I read the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 21, over and over and over, and I took notes, and I figured it out. I I didn't have the money to pay a consultant. They were like thousands of dollars. They're like 5, 6,000. Yeah, we'll do it for you. And I'm like, bro, like you're kidding. Like, stop playing with me. But that's what they charge. So I had quit my job. So I had spent a few months reading the Code of Federal Regulations and emailing the FDA. And I'm like, are you like, I should not be regulated like this. I'm a compression glove. Like, I'm not going to hurt anybody. But compression changes the way the body functions. And if I talk about it in my marketing, that's when it has to become a medical device. So if you don't market it to change the way the body functions, you don't have to register as a medical device. Well, in my case, every case is different, but it's Title 21 of the Code of Federal Regulations. And I have it literally bookmarked at the top of my screen so I can reference it whenever I need. And
Yeah.
I have referenced it recently because I'm looking at making sure my packaging is good. And we're moving into other countries, and I'm like, did I put that on my packaging? Is it the same? What's different between this one and the US? But yeah, I read it and I did it myself, and I did it correctly. And the main problem that I ran into there is that my manufacturer that I wanted to go with first, like they had samples made. We were ready to launch at the end of the spring of 22, but they were not the right manufacturer. They needed all of this money to get all of these certifications, and I couldn't do it. And so I can tell you the secret to getting a FDA registered manufacturer. Here's how you do that. You go
Yeah.
on Good ID, GUDID. Good ID tells you a list of medical devices that are registered to sell in the US. And you type in one of your competition. Like, so I looked up compression gloves, and you figure out what product code they are registered as. My product code is like ILH, which is like braces and splints and orthotics. And so that's what compression gloves fall under, is the ILH. You find that three letter code, and then you go to the FDA establishment registration database. And that's where FDA registered medical device establishment. So the company is registered. And there you can search what companies are manufacturers or sub-manufacturers under that product code. So first you need the code, then you need to know who is already registered, and then you can find who is already has all of these registrations and is able to manufacture medical devices under your specific product code. So I did that, and then I found their websites, and then I called them or I emailed them, and I ended up with two manufacturers that are able to make Metaflex right now. And now we're looking at additional manufacturers, because you should always have more, as part of risk management strategy, and definitely as part of the crazy tariff situation in the U.S. Being able to manufacture in a few different countries lets you be able to import products. Yeah, because my manufacturing right now is in China, and they are the experts, and they make the best gloves. But I imported a few days ago, and my tax was 46%.
Wow.
46% on my cost of goods. And that's insane. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so now we're having to look and see what other manufacturers we could work with to import into the US, in case we need to. What a mess it is. But that's how I found my manufacturers. You can also go through the process. It's like there's a registration fee. This year, the fee to be a medical device for establishment in the US is $11,000. They're really just milking us. They're milking us. It's a mess. And then you have to have all of these quality control certifications like ISO, what is it, 13485 or 9001, are like your quality. There's a bunch of registrations you have to get. People have to show up, paperwork, check mark, the whole thing. Um, so I think it's easiest and quickest to go through someone who's already registered, but you can always set that up yourself. It's more expensive and more time consuming.
Yeah, that's a really valuable information you just shared. I'm very sure the audience would really appreciate that. So, you've raised investment funding. Um, I'd like to ask, what's your number one tip for engineers pitching to non-technical professionals or non-technical investors?
You're not selling the product, you're selling yourself.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I
Interesting.
got that wrong. I got that wrong. I got that wrong for a long time. I'm like, everyone's gonna love this. But you're supposed to sell yourself, which feels wrong. Okay, it does. But it did to me. It may not to everybody. Because now it feels like normal. I'm like, yeah, I'm like this and that. I can do it. But it feels weird to be that cocky. You think about salespeople, they're like, this is the greatest thing ever, but they're selling a product. If they were selling themselves, they're like, I am the greatest thing ever. And that's what people want to hear. Um, which is kind of crazy. Also, your money's going to come from your network. It's going to come from people. My money came from people who are local. So my first investors were the Upper Cumberland Investment Alliance, and Cookeville, Tennessee, where I live, is in the Upper Cumberland. So it's a group of people that are wealthy in the area that all join together in an angel group, and they invest locally. So an angel group is what I raised from, because angels are just wealthy individuals who want to give other people money to like start companies, build businesses, da 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 da. That's different from a VC, which is venture capital, or PE, which is private equity. Those two types of organizations don't care about you until you're making millions of dollars. So that's not who you go to get initial funding. Initial funding is going to come from loans. I got a small business loan. I made a spreadsheet with my projections, my cost of goods, how much I think I can sell it for, who I'm going to need to hire, and how much I'm going to pay them. I had already had sales. So the first person who ever gave me money is one of my mentors, and he had mentored me for like a year or so, or 2 years. And then I was raising money, and then he gave me he wrote me a check, and that helped me buy inventory. It was for inventory, and it was for FDA fees, and it was just to like get us going. And my second check came from another advisor, just like a small check. And then they were small. I've had a check as small as $500 to just like keep us going. And small checks, local loans. So I got a loan from the Tennessee Rural Development Fund, which is just like a group of local people that are trying to invest in Tennessee. I got a loan from the Upper Cumberland Development Districts, which is again in Cookeville area. And they gave me a really nice loan so that I could buy inventory again. Like I was moving, we're buying. I lived at my parents' house, you guys. Like it's not glamorous until like you make it. Um, I maxed out my credit cards. I liquidated my 401k and my IRA and all of my GameStop stock options that I had bought, which were performing well, okay, in 2021. But every bit of money that I had anywhere, I pulled it all out. And then all of the credit I had, I maxed it out. And then I got loans and loans and loans and loans. And then um, finally I got my first investment, and it was from the Upper Cumberland Investment Alliance. And then I was fortunate enough that Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, through a nonprofit called Launch Tennessee, was starting to invest in small businesses, and they did a matching fund. So anytime a qualified business, you had to fill out an application and they had to accept you and they had to believe in it and that whole thing. Um, anytime that you got an investment, they would like match it the same terms. So I started getting matching money. A check would come in, they'd match it, which was really fantastic. And a few places in the US do it. Um, Tennessee is just really focused on innovation right now, and I'm grateful for that. And then I got an investment from a small investment from another angel investor, and then a group of, I think this one's actually a VC, and they're in San Francisco, so that's like kind of cool to have. And then a wealthy angel investor, a person who owns like a VC firm that invests in something different than what I'm doing. But they saw me pitch enough times. We had known each other for like over a year, and they're like, okay, I'm going to put some in. And then a local bank. Well, they're not a bank. They're a fund. Another kind of like angel group that's local, and they're based in Knoxville, Tennessee. They closed out my round. So it when I first started raising money, I was like, where do people raise money? And I was flying to San Francisco and I was talking to people in Colorado and Arizona and all over. The money didn't come from any of those people. They don't know me. You have to build relationships with people before you need money. And it comes from people betting on you. The guy, the angel that like owns the VC, he said, "I'm not crazy about the product, but I believe in you." He said that to me, and it
Wow.
hurt my feelings only a little bit, but it was nice. It was nice that he believed in me. The fact that he said like, "I'm not crazy about the product," I was like, "Oh man," because as the founder, you're crazy about the product. But people are betting on you and your resilience and your get it like if you don't give up, then you start to garner the attention of people that can give you money or invest money into you. So it's a long road. It took me, I mean, as soon as I quit my job, I was starting to pitch people, and I'm like, I've got this and that. I've got a patent. I'm like, I'm highly educated, and I can do this. And yeah, my first check came from someone who had been mentoring me, and that seems to be really common.
Great. So, to rush things, what do you think all successful founders have in common? Just one thing you think they have in common.
Resilience. Um,
Resilience. Hmm.
yeah, you just keep
So,
going. You fail and you get back up and keep going.
yep, yep. So, one lesson for me today is that all successful founders never quit. I think I would
Yeah.
hold that lesson to my heart till I become a successful founder.
You will. And it's you can realign, you can like change things. But if you're chasing a dream, and it's also you have to have like a reason to be chasing this thing. Like for me, it's really obvious. It's affordable healthcare. Um, yeah, you gotta have a reason to do it because it's difficult. But if you don't give up, you'll get there.
All right. So, what advice do you have for engineering students that wish to turn their class projects into real products and take that first step into entrepreneurship?
The first step is to interview your customers and make sure they want it. If
Mm,
Yeah, you can think it's the greatest idea ever. Oh, technically, this is who's going to buy it. Uh, it's a business. Businesses have to make money. Um, and not only do they have to buy it, but they have to like it enough to buy it again or recommend it to their friends. Um, so talk to your customers early and often, constantly talk to your customers, always be talking to your customers. That's how you make your product better. And that's how you make a product that people actually want. Because you can make something really, really cool, but if nobody buys it, then it's not a business. It's like a research project, which is valuable to society. It's just different. It's different than having a business.
That's really great advice. So I love to save this question for the last for the guests I interview here. So here's it. Tell us what innovation means to you and how it relates to your field.
Healthcare, there needs to be a lot of innovation happening. Um, the prices of everything is too high. We have a lot of gadgets, like we talked about, that just don't work. They're expensive and they're not effective. Um, Innovation is changing people's lives. It's making people's lives better. Um, and as long as you focus on making people's lives better, then you've got a good product. Then you have something really really innovative and something that um, you can be proud to bring into the world.
Uh, that's nice. So finally, Miss Tia, where can our audience find you, contact you, and ask you more about Metaflex?
You can go to my website, metaflexglove.com, Metaflex glove.com. There's a contact us form. You can also buy Metaflex gloves. Like I talked about affordable healthcare, they're $55 a pair and $30 for a single glove. Um, we're also on all the socials like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you want us on a different social platform, just let me know in that contact us form on the website or on any of those others, and we can look into getting there. We're also on LinkedIn, so you can find me, follow me on LinkedIn. I post a lot about like the journey of entrepreneurship, and hopefully that can be good and helpful for people. And then the companies on LinkedIn too, ATS Innovations.
That's great. So it was nice having you here on the show today, Tia.
Thank you for having me, Ezekiel. I had a great time.